Yo, I realized I just cracked this right before, you know, just spilled a little bit right before this video, but here we go. My bad, my fault. That's on me. So, womp womp, Womp womp. We had two trades today. This is cap. I don't know why this says three trades. This thing is just wrong sometimes. Um, but we took two trades today. I'll show you them. You might be confused because I use three contracts and I trade out two at a time. But this was today, April 9th. Here was the open right here. So what we had was this big supply zone. Let me hide this for a sec. We had this big supply zone going in. So I'm kind of looking for a short um, going in. And I wasn't really looking at the VP. I should have been looking at the volume profile. This was the higher time frame demand zone I had below. And this is a big gap. This is a lot of low volume right here. Um, and like it's often that we fill those gaps, but today, what instead happened was that this low volume section, was used as support basically for price action. It turned out to be a range between this higher volume, higher profile, Jesus, higher time frame zone and this low volume area, just bouncing back and forth. And I had drawn out this 5 minute demand zone because um, it held yesterday 1, 2, almost 3 if you look at it that way. I didn't draw out like this or anything, but it did end up bouncing out of there. So I was on this morning and I was watching this happen. I'm wondering like if this is a long right here because it's not quite where I want it to be yet, but it is reaching the bottom of this volume profile that has no volume below it um, down here. So this this did in fact turn out to be long. Um, I was hoping it would go a little lower if I got interested in longs, but yeah, it just turned out to long from there. Um, and then what happened was with where I traded, first thing that happened was, let's go to the 1 minute. That's where I traded. We got up to this old 5 minute opening range, and actually where I shorted last time I shorted this big supply zone and won a little bit. We got up to the zone that movement formed, the 5 minute supply zone, which is this purple box right here. And it started kind of moving down a little bit. I see this, I short this red bar, shorted it pretty low, 113.75. Yeah. So it pretty much reversed immediately as soon as I shorted it. And I caught an L up here at 147 for three contracts. Caught an L up right here. So that turned out to be like a $200 loss, something like that. But we're not looking at losses today, boys. I mean, we're not looking at dollars today, boys. And why? Why should I not short here? I think I was a little premature. I should have waited for it to get into this gray zone. Um, there was this higher low, which kind of maybe matters, not really. But this consolidation, this didn't necessarily turn out to be like a lower high. I mean, kind of, but really not really. Uh, it's just kind of a hitch in the price action. What worked out was when we got up here, closer to the actual high of the week, it looks like actually. Yeah, the high of the week. Um, that zone that formed that shot price action down before, no volume up here, of course, because it didn't trade. Um, we just wicked above that, and I saw it come up, saw it shoot down, and I shorted it when it came down here, hoping this was a lower high. It did turn out like that. 224. Yeah, so I shorted it right here-ish. I took two right here, left my runner like we talked about. Initially, I had my stop up here, but I moved it down to 251 after I got my W. I was below a 1-to-1. I was unfavorable, so it might have knocked out more of my profit than I wanted if I left my stop at that high. So I moved it, I choked it up a little bit, but that turned out to be not the best move. Um, but even if I did stay in with my stop up here, it would have come down here. There's nothing really, there's a 1 minute zone down there, but there's not any big markers otherwise that I would look at. Maybe, I mean, just look like in terms of looking for a target, I might have gotten taken out eventually anyways, because I probably just would have hoped that this runs down, at least a VWAP, but it didn't do that. So I think either way, I'm getting taken out there. Um, but yeah, this long turned out to be really the move of the day. Um, and that's just the power of this volume profile. Um, it just kept bouncing out of here. It happened to be a 5 minute zone, but it also was just the bottom of this volume, and it didn't want to trade below that. So, how do you know that that's going to be the bottom? You don't. That's why I was like, I hope this trades lower and then I can get in, but it just didn't do that today. So, um, yeah, one decent trade. And, in an uptrend like this, maybe it makes sense to, this kind of looks like a range if you look at the past couple days, but the volume profile doesn't really suggest that. This is not a perfect distribution. So when we're getting a move up like this, that's breaking highs, testing new high, testing the weekly high. Maybe it's good to just take all three contracts right there. Just take what you can get from that short. I should have been, if if it, if that proved me wrong again, that would have been, you know, time to stop shorting for sure. Um, Catching a falling knife situation. Hopefully you figure that out sooner so you're not taking too many hits. But yeah, I think it might have been smart here to just take my 1-to-1 where I'm counter trading, or just take my short, my small target. That's it for today. See ya.